Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and kick us off just to give you a brief idea of what's going to happen before we launch into the actual panel. I'm just going to run through a few housekeeping items pretty quick, and then I'm going to introduce myself and hand it over to our lovely panelists who will give all of you a nice brief introduction, and then we'll get the show on the road. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate all of you guys on your acceptance in the Boston College's class of 2025. I think that's a tremendous achievement, especially this year. Given the circumstances of a pandemic, no matter what happened, you guys were able to thrive within the college application process. And we hope that we're going to be able to welcome you here next fall. And no matter what happens or where you end up going, you have really succeeded in accomplishing a tremendous feat. So this session is going to be the first of 3 sessions that are related to the AHANA Plus student experience at Boston College. They are all going to be recorded. In order to access these recordings, all you have to do is go to the admitted student page and access the video gallery where all of the admitted student webinars, not just the ones about the AHANA experience, are going to be, they're going to be there as well. So after the introductions happen, wherever this night goes is in your hands. We have the Q&A function here where we're going to be, it's basically going to be the driving force behind tonight. So whatever you guys want to know, you can feel free to ask a question in the Q&A box, and you can ask it anonymously. You can ask it with your name on it. We will do our best to respond to every question, but if the volume gets pretty high, you can rest assured that at the end of the panel, I'm going to be putting up everybody's emails, and you can feel free to reach out to us after if you'd like a more personalized response. So before introducing myself, especially at this panel, which is called the AHANA Student Experience of Boston College, I think I should address the elephant in the room and define what AHANA means. And so here at Boston College, AHANA is an acronym we use. It stands for African, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, and there's often a plus put at the end of it to just sort of encompass students of color on campus. It's not a campus organization, it's more of a shared identity on campus that students come around. And so there are AHANA Plus cultural organizations, but AHANA itself is not a campus organization. And so I guess now I'll introduce myself. My name is Aiden Henderson. I use he, him, his pronouns. I am a current senior, class of 2021 in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences here from Newton, Massachusetts. I'm studying environmental studies, the concentration in sociology, and I also have a minor in music. Outside the classroom, and why I'm here today is I'm also the AHANA Plus outreach coordinator for the student admissions program. So I anticipate that some of the AHANA admitted students here have received an invitation to the Keith A. Francis AHANA Plus weekend, which is going to be virtually taking place this coming Saturday and Sunday. I know that Kaylee and Lubens have been involved in this process, both as Lubens is a team leader and Kaylee is a member of the AHANA Plus outreach committee. And if it is something that you have not registered for, but are still interested in attending, you can go and register through that through your admitted students portal. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kaylee, who is going to start the first of 4 introductions.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee. I'm a freshman, class of 2024. I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I'm currently studying African and African diaspora studies and with a minor in international studies.
Hello. My name is Lubens Benjamin. I'm a sophomore at Boston College, studying marketing in the Carroll School of Management. I also have a minor in philosophy in the Morrissey College of Arts and Science. And I'm from Cambridge, Massachusetts.
What's up, everyone? My name is Rob Martinez. I'm originally from South Central Los Angeles, currently a senior studying marketing and entrepreneurship in the Carroll School of Management.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I am currently a senior as well, studying econ and sociology within our Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences as well. And I am originally from Long Island, New York.
Great. So while we wait for those first questions to start going in the Q&A box, I think it'll be appropriate to start it off by just asking each and every one of you to talk a little bit about how being an AHANA Plus student on campus has defined your experience at Boston College, either within the classroom, extracurricularly, socially, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I think for me, especially this year, I live on the multicultural learning experience floor which is a living learning community where students of color live. But it's not just students of color, there are also white students that live there, but it's majority students of color. And this year in the sophomore plus area, we're learning how to be multicultural leaders and how we can develop our leadership styles to be more encompassing of those around us, which I found really helpful in my second year here at BC.
I would say being an AHANA student, especially in my first year, obviously because of COVID, everything has been quite different. But I will say being an AHANA student has informed a lot of things that I've gotten involved with. So kind of like Aiden mentioned, I'm in the AHANA Plus committee. I'm also the freshman representative for our Black Student Forum. So yeah, being a AHANA student, it really affects the things I involve myself with. I am not a part of the multicultural floor here at Boston College, but a lot of my friends are. So I've made a lot of friends through that floor as well. And that's where I'll be living next year. So yeah, being an AHANA student, it has really affected just the things that I tried to get myself involved with. And it's been a good experience so far.
Yeah, similar to Lubin's, as a freshman, I also had the opportunity to live on MLE, which is the, as he explained, the multicultural learning experience floor. And I also had the opportunity to work or participate in programs that the Sister Thea Bowman Ohana Intercultural Center offers, such as summer tuition remission and tutoring and things like that, and of that nature, that really help students get acclimated on campus, especially students of color and AHANA Plus identifying students. There are plenty of offices and organizations that are here to help AHANA Plus identifying students as well, besides those.
Yeah, and just to add on to what everyone else has said so far, for me, I think the biggest involvement that I've gotten myself to kind of do since I got here at BC definitely has to do a little bit with some of our clubs that we offer here at BC. So something really cool, I guess, and when I first came to BC was I realized that there wasn't any sort of Greek life, but I really do think that our clubs sort of cover for that. So I've gotten involved with a lot of cultural clubs on campus. And I think the best thing about that has really been sort of the conversations, the discussions I've had around my own cultural identity, like coming into BC, like not really knowing like what being an Asian American meant for myself, and then really getting to understand that through some of the clubs, and just getting to like speak with so many different groups of people. Clubs have really connected me with some professors on campus as well. So it really sort of shaped, the way that I made friends, the way that I learned about my own cultural identity. And I think what's really strong about the BC community is that everyone's sort of interested in learning about someone else's culture as well. And that's something that I really find like awesome. Like everyone you meet here is like super excited, super curious about your background, about where you come from, pretty much anything that shapes like who you are. And I think that's really cool to sort of come into a campus. And I can only imagine for, some of the freshmen coming in during COVID, like what those sort of conversations can really help in terms of just getting acclimated to the BC climate. And it definitely is a really great way to sort of like, I've made some of my closest friends through some of these clubs as well. So that's definitely a way that I think being a HANA Plus student has shaped my experience at BC.
Great. Thank you all for that. We have a few questions in the Q&A section. One generally about LLCs and one about the MLE floor, so I'll just couple them into one. But Madeline is wondering if we can explain, or if somebody can explain each of the dorm themes. I'm assuming she's asking about LLCs or living learning communities, such as multicultural living. And another question asker is wondering about the application process for the MLE floor. How do they join?
I could tackle the first part about the different types of LLCs we have. So coming into BC, you have a choice to live on different living learning communities. Each sort of have their own different themes. There is a healthy living LLC. There is the Costco dorm, which is an all women's dorm. And I think each one brings their own unique experiences along with them. I know my freshman year, I was not on the MLE floor. I just went random with my random roommates and we had a great time. But I still got to meet people on the MLE floor. I knew that'd be another space that I could go to, a space on campus where I know I would feel comfortable.
Great. And Danielle in the chat, one of our amazing admissions coordinators, just put a link if you want to read more about that. Another question asker is wondering if there are any programs or opportunities for people of mixed race ancestry, if anybody wants to discuss that.
Well, I don't know if there's one specifically for people of mixed ancestry, but I know one program that's really popular for incoming freshmen is the Compass Mentoring Program, which is for AHANA Plus students, and they will get a mentor that they'll have all through their first semester of college, which will, for me, was a great resource, and they always pointed me in the right direction. Because I know I definitely came into college a little lost and not knowing where to go, and my Compass mentor was a great resource for me in that way.
Great, yeah, and I can also just talk about this a little bit because I am mixed race. So for me on campus, my freshman year coming in, I'm biracial. My mother is white, my father's black, and so I came fresh out of high school where I actually founded like my high school's multiracial student association, and so I came to BC intending to do a similar thing, but what I realized is that I guess being of mixed race sort of didn't really influence too much about like the extent to which I was accepted within the Ohana Plus community. And I realized that I didn't really need to make an independent multiracial student association or biracial student association to feel accepted within the Ohana community. Personally, I've thrived in my little corner where within the Black Student Forum, where I am serving as the co-president this semester, and I felt accepted during all of my 4 years, and I haven't really kind of felt ostracized or pushed off to the side just because I am mixed race. And I think that if that is something that you want to push forward and found, something like a multicultural student association, the Bowman Ohana Intercultural Center provides great resources and supports to allow you to do that. But at the same time, I don't think that it will influence or kind of minimize your acceptance within the Ohana community. And so another question from an anonymous attendee is asking about BC being a PWI, a predominantly white institution, and is wondering if we feel safe at the school that provides I just lost it because it scrolled out. But with BC being a predominantly white school, do you feel like the school provides an adequate amount of safe spaces for students of color?
I can talk a little bit about that. I would say some of the spaces that I've gotten a chance to take advantage of my first year here, definitely the MLE floor. I think the MLE floor is a huge resource for a lot of students of color when they come in for their freshman year. It provides you just with a space with people who look like you, who share some same interests as you. So that's been a great resource. I would also say, Aiden was talking about the Bowman Ohana Intercultural Center, the BIC is what we call it. That's also been a really great space. This year, we haven't been able, or I haven't been able to really take too much advantage of that because of COVID, there's certain regulations. But I heard that on a regular basis, that's the space where a lot of students go, Ohana students go to talk, to chat, just to, chill in general. There's that. And then I would also say the people that you meet, the resources, everybody has been very helpful in terms of offering me spaces and telling me, we have this meeting here, or there's this club here that you should attend. So it's really about reaching out to people once you get here, getting to know those resources, but also things like MLE Floor and BIC are two big ones as well.
Yeah, and I know I would like for there to be more spaces, so I'm hoping that, I know BC has a plan for the Pine Manor Institute for student success, and I think they do have plans in place to expand what they're already doing, so we have even more spaces.
Great. So somebody else is wondering, what sort of things do cultural organizations do?
Yeah, I can tackle this one a little bit. I think it really depends on obviously the culture club that you join. I know, many clubs do a lot of different things. I'm thinking primarily because I am Chinese, like I'm part of the Chinese Students Association here at BC, like they'll do a lot of cultural events. So whether it's, getting to celebrate Lunar New Year, that's a pretty important part. That's something that I've always like grown up celebrating. So getting to do that with other students on campus was really awesome. And a lot of times, a lot of the clubs will also invite sort of speakers to come as well to talk a little bit. It might be a prominent, YouTuber or something like that, someone in the space that's really excelled. And that's really awesome to get to see those sort of talks happen as well. But there's also a lot of, discussions, town halls on sort of like race, some of the issues that we face in the general, cultural community as well. So that's really awesome. But there definitely are a lot of fun things to do. Like one of my favorite events, like I know someone asked about like if there's a South Asian culture club. So with our South Asian Students Association, like they always do, well, not this year yet, but they always do like Holi, which is where you celebrate with like all the colors and everything. They do like a big festival. So I know that's been like one of my favorite like things on campus so far. So they'd have to do a lot of different things, and some of them even have retreats as well. So it really depends on the club, but it's anything that you can get involved with. You don't have to be of that culture to learn about that culture. You don't have to be like of that race to join those clubs as well. So it's definitely really awesome.
Great. So we have a question just about somebody's wondering what's happening on campus this weekend in connection with being AHANA. So I'm just going to quickly address that. So basically this weekend is going to be, I guess, the virtual equivalent of our annual Keith A. Francis AHANA Plus weekend. It's a weekend that is sort of honoring the legacy of a Boston College graduate, class of 1972, I believe, Keith Francis, who is a track star amongst other things. But the weekend basically honors a legacy of connecting current AHANA Plus students to prospective students. And so before the pandemic, what that would look like was students coming in, flying in, busing in from all across the country to spend a weekend and be paired with a host and attend a variety of events on Boston College campus, be it panels with Boston College alumni, like a dance showcase with some of our cultural dance organizations, etc. It'll just be an experience for AHANA students to see what it's like to be a BC student for a weekend. And what's happening this coming weekend is our attempt, and I am confident it's going to be a successful attempt to replicate that in the virtual sense. And so no matter what, if you log on to your admitted student portal, as long as you are in our system as an AHANA Plus student, we have that down, you will see the opportunity to register for the KAF AHANA Plus weekend. And this year, what it's going to look like is no matter what, if you register for an event, you're going to be assigned to a team leader. And that leader is sort of going to walk you through the weekend and sort of be there as a resource that you can reach out to, shoot a text to, hop on a call with. And throughout the weekend, there's going to be a few panels, panels with alum, panels with current students. There's going to be a mock class with a professor. There's going to be cultural organization mixers where you can come and talk to representatives of cultural organizations. And so if you're interested at all in attending that event, you can register for all of the things through your admitted student portal. And Stephen Koo, another one of our wonderful admission faculty, also just put the link to the AHANA weekend in the chat. And so Karen is wondering, on the topic of cultural organizations, how do you join and find these organizations? How do you get involved?
So at the beginning of the school year, there's this big club fair. For me, it was quite different because mine was virtual, which was not as fun. I know the other panelists can tell you a bit more about what it's like in person. Mine was very, very different. So the way that I got involved with a lot of the clubs that I'm in was more through word of mouth and through upperclassmen that I met. They suggested, you should get involved with this, that, and the third. But in a regular setting, there would be this big club fair. You would get to see the different stands with different clubs and get to interact with different people, different organizations. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking to Kaylee's point, I think the way you can get involved next year, I know that OSI is making strides to improve the virtual online fair if there so happens to be one. But I know that in a regular year, the way that the fair works is the entire Stokes lawn is just covered in tables with full of different clubs and organizations getting tabling and trying to get every freshman to sign up to their organization. And I suggest whatever you're interested in, sign up for, throw your name in the email list and go to their first meeting, see if that's something that works for you. And if it doesn't, and I think I kind of want to tackle another question, which is can you guys explain how the Compass Mentoring Program works? And Lubin's talked a little bit about this, but the way it works is you'll get a upperclassman mentor partnered up with 6 freshmen who are all AHANA Plus students. And it's really just a week-to-week, weekly meetings with your mentor and mentee group, where you just discuss different themes and topics of your identity, of being a student of color at a PWI, or just your transition and how that's going for you. And they're really there. The mentor is really there to support you through your transition, help you feel more comfortable and acclimated at BC. And it's also through these relationships that you're able to find out what clubs and organizations you could fit into while at BC. So take advantage of Compass, Freshman League, Ascend, and those mentorship programs, because those individuals are all really here to help you guys out.
Yeah, I can also speak a little bit about Compass because I was involved in Compass first semester as well. I would say that was a great space for me to meet other AHANA students. So people who I normally wouldn't see in classes or in clubs, I met during Compass. Kind of like Rob was saying, those mentors that you meet through different mentorship programs are people that are not just useful for whenever that program lasts, but also past those, like those couple of weeks that you're in Compass. I know some of my friends who still talk to their Compass mentors and who are still close with them. So those are definitely very important connections to make when you get here.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Rob and Kaylee. Somebody else is wondering if AHANA student organizations ever collaborate, and if so, for what and how often?
Definitely. I think it depends on the club and organization. I know on campus there's a huge popular set of organizations are our dance teams, and they like to collaborate a lot, and a lot of those are AHANA Plus funded organizations. And also at the end of the year, we have AOC Showdown. I think this year they're doing it in a virtual setting, but hopefully by next year in April when it takes place, it'll be in person. And there's always opportunities like that where AHANA organizations are able to display their art and what they do as a club and organization with other clubs and organizations as well.
And I'd just like to add, I'm a part of the AHANA Leadership Council division of the undergraduate government of Boston College, and we are always working with different culture clubs, whether that be funding they need for an event or just connecting them with other groups. And I also know that we have an AHANA caucus where they meet and share their ideas of what they're doing on campus, and whether that looks like collabing to bring in a speaker or collabing to find those intersections of people's identities. I'd say they collab often.
Awesome. So somebody else is wondering if there are any Hispanic or Latinx, I guess, focused cultural organizations on campus.
Yeah, there is the Organization of Latin American Affairs, better known as OLA. They put on a ton of great events throughout the year. I know they have their culture show that they do every single year. They do it in Rob Sham Theater. Everyone goes, it's packed. You have different dance groups perform, poets, all types of art. I went last year and it was one of my favorite events that I went to all last year. A few audience members are there, your friends, some of your friends will probably be in it too. And it's just a really great time.
Yeah, and I think one more thing to add on is I know one of my friends is part of the Latin American like business club as well. So their club specifically like focused on anything related to business, entrepreneurship. So they're really awesome. I know they're like bringing in like 6 speakers, I think, like next week or so, just talking about the space of what it means to be Latin American and you know running a business or being a CEO and you know being in that workforce. So I know that's also a club that's like my friend's part of, and she's definitely had a really great experience with that as well.
Great. Yeah, and there's also a ton of clubs just a little more focused across the Latinx diaspora, be it the Cape Verdean Student Association, CVSA, Mexican Student Association, Dominican Student Association. There's dance groups, Fuego, is one of them, which is I think Fuego. No, it's actually not. I'm blanking. Sorry. Fuego is not associated with OLA, but there are a ton of dance organizations, music organizations, and cultural organizations that are affiliated with the Latinx diaspora. So another question, where would you say it's easiest for students to find friends similar to them? Do you feel like you found your closest friends in these AHANA clubs or elsewhere?
That's a great question. Personally, for me, this year was a bit harder to make friends just because everything was so limited and COVID rules. There was only so much that you could do to meet people. But for me, the main way where I met other AHANA students who are now my closest friends is through the MLE floor. So I myself did not apply to the MLE floor, but I don't live too far off from where the floor is. So it was kind of one of those things where you just meet someone, you're like, hey, like, where do you live? And they're like, yo, I live in the MLE floor. And then they bring you, they introduce you to like their roommates or other people living on the floor. And that's how I met some of my closest friends. But I would also say through different clubs, I've met mentors, which has been really great. So yeah, it really just depends on, hopefully for you guys, you'll have more of a chance to have more access to meeting people. But yeah, for me, it was mainly the MLE floor.
I think for me, mine was during my orientation. I just like ran into one of my best friends, and then ever since then we kind of ran with it. And he happened to live on the MLE floor, and then I got to meet some AHANA students that way. But then I think it kind of really all expanded once I did Compass. It just you go from knowing like this much, and then it's because it's all everyone who is a part of the program goes on a retreat, an overnight retreat, and then it's so much fun. It's like a way to get away from school for a little bit and just really try to connect with people on another level. And I think that's one of the main ways I've made a lot of my closest friends here at BC.
Yeah, and I think just to add on with that, like with meeting friends, I think what's really great is that BC isn't sort of like a crazy big school where like you won't recognize like anyone walking by, but it's also like at the same point big enough where you're always meeting someone new. And I think, after being here for 4 years, it's been kind of crazy. It's been kind of like a web of people, I feel like you meet one person and they'll know like a friend of a friend. And then like, you really just get to know so many people just by like sitting in the dining hall, talking with random people. Like, one of your classes, for freshman year, a lot of classes do tend to sort of be like freshman oriented. So there aren't a lot of classes where you're like stuck with like just seniors or something like that. So it's been, really awesome just to be connected with that group of people. But as everyone else has mentioned, there's a lot of like programming available as well. Speaking of retreats, there's like so many different retreat programs you can go on. And I think that's such a big part of BC culture. And that's where I've met a lot of my friends as well. So, definitely get involved. Like if there is the chance, like my freshman year, if I saw the opportunity, like I would hop on it immediately because I knew like it'd be a great experience just to meet new people. And I think everyone wants to meet someone freshman year. So it's really like not as scary as it seems.
Great. Let's see. So another question. This is, I guess, a little less related to the AHANA experience, but what is it like to attend a Jesuit university as an AHANA student? Or I guess a little more.
I think for me, growing up in the Boston area, I think what was really important to me in my like coming of age was having a mentor growing up when I was younger, like in elementary school and high school. And then one of the main Jesuit values is men and women for others. And like a big component of that is doing service. A lot of students at BC do service, and I also do it. I'm part of the BC Bigs program where I get to go into the city of Boston and mentor a student one-on-one and kind of help them develop their like skills and their life skills. And I think it's just a great way for me to give back and live out those Jesuit ideals and at the same time.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's been a good experience. I think the Jesuit values in institution, there are a lot of programs and retreats that we've mentioned before. I know your freshman year, you can do 48 hours, which is a retreat program that takes you off campus hopefully next year for 48 hours, and you're on a retreat with six to seven other freshmen as well with the upperclassmen, where you go through just a 2-night retreat where there's talks about your transition to BC and how that's going, and different topics and themes that really are a point of conflict for students, not just at BC, but in their transitional years as freshmen in college. And so I think that the Jesuit reflective aspect of the school has really helped me discover more of my identity and be more proactive about being reflective and be more intentional about my time here and how myself as an AHANA Plus student can make this a better place for students who are incoming, and that way they pay it forward moving forward.
For me, I think coming to a Jesuit institution, quite honestly, when I first came, I don't even really think I knew what that was kind of and what that sort of entitled. But after being here for 4 years, I think something that I really took away from it is because we are sort of focused on, education of the whole person. I think you hear that a lot. We do have sort of like a core curriculum that every student, regardless of what you study, has to sort of go through. So it's a set of like courses, but what's really awesome and that sort of like changes for, I guess, like for HANA students, for me personally, is that there's not like a set class that you have to take, for example, for your history requirement. Like it's really awesome getting to go really niche into detail, like specifically like what you want to study. If, being a student of color, if you're interested about like, intersectionality, about socioeconomic factors, like, anything like that. Like for me personally, like I'm a sociology major, so that's like pretty important. I like studying that. And, there's really a lot of opportunity to sort of tie your major and tie a lot of these sort of intersectional points with sort of that core curriculum that you study as well. And it's just a really great way, I think, to sort of step outside of like what you specifically focus on in terms of your majors as well.
Great. So there's a question about the Black Lives, or whether the Boston College community supports Black Lives Matter. I think I'm going to talk about this really quickly, and then I'd urge my fellow panelists to share or add on as they feel necessary. And so, to be honest, I feel like the Boston College community's support of Black Lives Matter is one of the, it's like the thing that's kind of keeping me here, or keeping me feeling safe here as a Black identifying student. I think that at a predominantly white institution, sometimes progress moves very slow to the point where it feels like it's not happening. And BC does, or there has been a history of racially motivated incidents happening on campus, but it's good to know, it's been affirming to realize that they're not representative of the entire community, where you have one incident happen my freshman year is what I'm remembering in particular. And all of a sudden you have the largest protest in Boston College history, where you had over 2,000 faculty, staff, members of the Jesuit community marching alongside in solidarity with the Black community on campus. And I think that even when things may seem like they're moving pretty slow, the community in terms of support from faculty, from staff, from fellow students of the non-Black community has really been affirming and uplifting.
Yeah, I think similar along the lines of Aiden. This is something that I'm really passionate about, and something that like drives a lot of things that I do at BC. And I think it's great. Like in my role in the student government, I get to have access to have these conversations with higher level people in the administration, and I think I'm blessed that I'm able to do that, and I try to use that as an instrument to change and like make our university that much better.
Great. So Norman is wondering if we can talk about mentorship. How do you find a mentor? How do you develop a relationship with them? How they helped you, and how they enhanced your experience as an AHANA student?
Yeah, I can speak about that. So I met my mentor through a class that I took for a semester. So the class that I took is called From Black Lives Matter to Me Too, or Where Black Lives Matter Meets Me Too, which is a really, really amazing class. I'm not sure if it's going to be offered next year, but it was a great class. And we had these junior teaching fellows, and they played a big role in leading discussions and helping us process all the information that we were learning. And I reached out to her because she was an African diaspora, or African diaspora studies major as well. And that's what I was interested in. So it kind of started off as regular conversation. And eventually she kind of asked me like, hey, like, how are you doing? Do you know what clubs to interact with? Like, is there people that you want me to connect you with? So it kind of started as a regular conversation and me reaching out to her, and it flourished into this mentorship relationship that we have now. So I would say, honestly, it's through connections, whether that's you reaching out or them reaching out to you. You could find mentors in classes, you could find mentors in clubs. I found mine in a class, but it's one of those things where it just kind of happens, or, you kind of reach out or they reach out to you, like I said.
And I think beyond just like other students being mentors, I think some of my most like formative mentors on campus have also been like professors. And I think, being able to find that, like when I first came in freshman year, I was relatively scared to talk to professors just because, there are so many other students. Professors sometimes are like, you kind of see them as this like higher up person. But for me, like what's really awesome is that like every professor obviously has like their office hours where they're required to like set out time to meet students. But I really realized that professors out in BC's campus, like they really want to know about your life, and they want to know like how you're doing just beyond like, getting help with your homework or whatever. Like a lot of, one of the professors that I'm thinking of, I had my freshman year, and to this day, I still grab coffee with him when I can. Like it's just been really awesome getting to have sort of mentorship beyond just other students, just making, these relationships with professors as well. And they've really helped me, guide through what I wanted to study, how, what I decided to study eventually, and just navigating sort of through experiences throughout my educational and my professional careers as well.
Yeah, and I think another opportunity to find a mentor, specifically for AHANA Plus students. I know the BAIC, which is the Bowman AHANA Intercultural Center, has a maze mentoring program, which is where they partner you up, an undergraduate student partners you up with faculty and staff here at BC, and it's very similar to what Jennifer and Kaylee talked about, but more of a formal aspect, more of a formal relationship where they help you get a little more acclimated here at BC, and they try to help you 3 or 4 years or beyond, however long your relationship with that mentor goes.
Great. So there's a question if we have a K-pop club. I personally am unaware as to the existence of a K-pop club, but what I can speak about is that at Boston College, if you get a group of 5 or more people together and walk into the Office of Student Involvement, you can officially start a club, and they will provide you with funding. They will provide you with resources. So you can order things like tickets to like a K-pop screening if that's happening, or you can buy your own merch, or you can get put on events on campus where you can get people in a room, order a pizza, watch some K-pop films or shows, or listen to music, whatever you want to do. So that is a great resource that Boston College has. I see that there are a couple other questions in the chat, which I promised to get to, but I also want to explore a different avenue of student experience, because at the end of the day, we are also just students living on Boston College. And so if a few people wanted to talk about just their favorite places to eat at or around campus, I think that would be a great way to give people a taste of the Boston College community, no pun intended.
Yeah, so I live on Lower Campus this year, and I've been taking advantage of El Palone. I even have my own burrito card right here. If I get 10 burritos, if I buy 10, I get 1 for free. I already filled out like 2 of these already this semester, so that's definitely one of my favorite spots. Go to on the weekend when I have a little extra time. Just a nice way to switch up what I'm eating day to day.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's also a bunch of places you can go to using the bus system here at BC. We have Cleveland Circle, which is a bus right away, and then they have Chipotle, Starbucks, Eagles Deli, Pino's Pizza, different options that you have as students here.
And beyond that, I feel like I'm speaking from experience because as a senior, I'm not on the meal plan anymore. So oftentimes, if I don't feel like cooking, it's sort of takeout, delivery, or going to places. But what's really cool is that BC is only like a 30-minute like T ride, which is like the public transportation system here, and it's like super easy to use. And like, you just hop on the T, you can get into the city of Boston really quickly. And, there I found a lot of really great places just because Boston is such a college town and there's so much to offer there. So there really is a lot. But if I had to recommend one place, it would be Felipe's, which is actually a taqueria in Cambridge. And I first found out last semester when I went to the rooftop. So it also has like a rooftop sitting area, which is really cool. And when you're of age, they do make some pretty great drinks. So
Yeah. Also, to add my 2 cents, it has taken me to until my senior year to appreciate where I'm living this year, which is actually 2000 Commonwealth Ave, otherwise known as 2K. And specifically why I appreciate this is because it has a Brighton, Massachusetts zip code, which unlocks a whole world of Uber Eats delivery that you don't get on main or lower campus. So like I can order from the South End, I can order from Cambridge, Somerville, wherever, which has really been great because like as a senior now, I'm always like exploring these restaurants that I was not even able to order from as a freshman, sophomore, or junior. So that's my little plug for 2K. Let's see what we want to do. How has being an AHANA student and your experience with it helped you transition from high school?
I can say for me, when I was in high school, I was involved in a lot of multicultural clubs. So I was the head of our Black Student Union and also the head of our Society of Latinx Students. So already being in that type of environment in high school, I was already kind of looking for that when I came to BC. So as an AHANA student, automatically I was like interested in BSF, which I'm now doing now. I'm also in the AHANA Outreach Committee. So, I mean, really just look at your interests that you're already doing in high school and kind of see in the BC community where that fits for you and what you can involve yourself with. I promise you, some of the things that you're involved in high school, BC probably has some version of it. So if you want to continue that, that's definitely an option. Or if you want to just do something completely different, there's also that option as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like Kaylee, in high school, I was really involved in a lot of my high school's culture clubs. And I think coming to BC has just allowed me to dive deeper into my own heritage, being Haitian American, and also explore a lot of other ones that I wasn't really privy to prior to coming to BC. I know like this semester I'm taking a resisting and rebelling course, which is about rebellions and resistance movements in Latin America. And my teacher does such a fantastic job of teaching history in a way that's interesting to me. And through this class, I've been able to learn so much about so many different cultures.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add on, I think I had, just sort of a little bit on the opposite end of that experience as well. Like in my high school, it was definitely very diverse as well, being that I went to a school like in New York City. And for me, like I didn't really have a lot of experience with my culture or with, being a student of color, just because I think everyone around me was also students of color. So I never really thought about that and never really thought about that identity a lot. But then coming to BC was really when I was more interested in it. And that's when I joined, the Compass mentorship program and all these cultural clubs. Like for me, BC really provided that way. When I first stepped on like student involvement fair, I was like, this is cool. Like, this is cool. Like, I want to learn more about this. So, it definitely can happen the other way around where I really wasn't sort of involved in high school, but coming to BC, I really found a passion for it through a lot of the organizations that we offer here.
For sure. Yeah, I think it all boils down to at the end of the day that being a HANA means to be part of a community that'll just, once you walk into school, you'll have access to mentorships and opportunities with professors. You'll have access, like there's group chats all over the place. Like that's how I found my barber in the area. Like things as small as that. And those are a part of you transitioning from high school to a different space. So somebody else is wondering, I come from a predominantly African-American Latinx community. I was wondering if anybody could be able to speak about the transition from a community like mine to a PWI community.
Yeah, I'm originally from South Los Angeles, so very similar to, it's just Latinx and predominantly Black neighborhood I grew up in. And so for me coming to BC was like the first time I saw like 10 white people just together. It was crazy. Um, and I think that transition in and of itself is interesting. And it can be difficult to navigate at the beginning of your transition to BC. Um, but I think what helped me was finding friends, mentors, and faculty that helped supported me, and try to kind of understand how to navigate this space and how to really learn it. Because similar to Jennifer, because I grew up in a neighborhood that looked like me, I never really was aware of the differences, and really what that means when attending a PWI as a student of color. But I was so lucky enough to come to Boston College through a program known as Options Through Education, which is a summer transitional program. And through that, I was able to meet friends, faculty, and staff who really help me transition and get more comfortable and get more acclimated and teach me about my identity and my diaspora and about much more other than just my own identity, and teach me about others. And through that and different clubs and organizations, I was able to just be more comfortable here as a student.
I think also, like, it's gonna be a shock, like, no matter where you go. I know for me at BC, it was definitely a shock, and like, I told myself, like, going into BC, like, all right, this is what it's gonna be like. Prepare yourself, and like, I was still shocked. But like, just like what Rob was saying, I think it's so important to find um, just those people who can guide you during those moments, and then once you find them, everything seems to just fall into place. I know for me, um, when I came in, it was a little bit of a struggle, but then I found my Christian Note teacher, Ryan Heffernan, and then I feel like ever since I've met him, everything has fallen into place for me here at BC, and I've really found my spot and my groove.
Sure. Let's see what else we got. So I'm just going to quickly address the question about AHANA weekend, and then I'll ask another question. So Joseph is wondering, he won't be able to attend the entire AHANA weekend, but if there are 1 to 3 events he should attend, what should they be? I'd say if there are 1 to 3 events you had to attend, it would be the cultural organization mixer, the Real Talk panel with students, which is on Sunday at 3 p.m., I believe, 3 or 4. It should be titled, and the alumni panel. I think that the cultural organization mixer will give you an opportunity to interact with presidents or members of the executive boards of various organizations around campus. Right now, we have representatives from 22 different cultural organizations on campus, and that number is going up, ranging from the Black Student Forum, Philippine Society, Korean Student Association, AHANA Leadership Council, Muslim Student Association, and others. And then the Real Talk with Students will be a kind of space just to have an unfiltered, honest talk with students. It's going to be face-to-face, personal, and you'll be able to ask really whatever you're wondering. And the alumni panel is going to have some great guests, featuring the executive vice president of diversity and inclusion at Fidelity, the former marketing manager for the Boston Red Sox, and a few other notable alum. And then now for a question, I think we have time for maybe 2 or 3 more. Have mentorships ever helped students find internships throughout their time at Boston College?
Yeah, definitely. I know for me, being in the care school management, I feel like there is this sort of pressure to find that internship like right away as soon as possible. And there's just so many resources here at BC that can help you find that, whether it's the Career Center, the BIC, other students, other teachers, whatever you name it, they'll have it, they'll find it. For me, one of my biggest mentors so far has been Drew, who works in the Career Center. He works specifically with AHANA students like me and a few of my other roommates too. He's also their advisor. And he's just always linking me different opportunities in the summer. I know so many of my friends have found internships already for the summer, me included. I'm so glad that I was able to have those resources.
And I think what's really great is also that BC alumni are always like so willing to like help you. So I know when I was going through the internship process as well, you know, simply all I did was like go on LinkedIn, like search up, you know, the company that I was applying for, and I typed in like Boston College as well. And I literally just reached out to someone who is working there right now and is from BC. And like, you know, every time I did that, I just found that they were so willing to really like help you through the process, whether it's answer any questions about like what the company does, like interviewing, resume reviews and things like that. So it's just like so easy to do that. But we also have sort of a more like BC focused, where BC alumni can directly connect with students. It's called Eagle Exchange, I believe. And, you know, being a senior, I haven't really used it that much because I'm not like actively searching for internships at this point. But I know even when I was trying to find like my full-time job, you know, I did look through the resources there, and it's just really awesome that the community here at BC is always looking to give back and really connect as well. So that's another way that you can find your internships.
Great. Maybe we have time for one more question if everybody wants to address it. And then if your question hasn't been addressed at the end before we all log off, I'm going to share my screen. It's going to be a slide with everybody's contact information, so you can feel free to reach out to any one of us. But I think the last question of the day will be, what is your favorite AHANA experience and what is your least favorite? Maybe let's do least favorite first and then favorite, so we know a bit now.
I can talk a little bit about that. I would say my least favorite experience as an AHANA person, definitely sometimes the way in which the administration deals with some of our complaints or with some incidents that happen that are racially motivated. I think Aiden spoke about this a little bit earlier, but change, especially at PWIs, can seem very, very slow, as if nothing at all is happening. But I think that it's not just specific to BC. I think at whatever PWI you attend, that's always a frustrating part, the administration, like kind of how they deal with those types of incidents. But I would say that my favorite part about being an AHANA student is definitely like the support system that I receive, whether that's from my friends or mentors or professors. I think being an AHANA student is a very, very special thing here at BC. And you have an unlimited source of people who can help you, who are there to support you. And you know, a little bit of a shameless plug. Me and my friends created this YouTube channel as a resource for some of you guys. So when we were looking for schools, we were looking up, you know, what's the Black experience at X and X college? And there wasn't a lot, especially for BC. So we created that ourselves. So if any of you guys need sources or like a resource as AHANA students, I'll put the link right there in the chat. Please feel free to look at the video, comment, like, subscribe, all that little YouTuber stuff. We're here for you. And I know that I struggled as an AHANA student or as a person of color to get through the college application process and just picking schools. So that's one thing for you guys.
That's dope. If I'm you guys, I go subscribe right now. But I think for me personally, very similar to what Kaylee said, I think there's a lot of different aspects of being an AHANA student, but I think my favorite part has just been the people. All the people I've gotten to meet through different clubs, organizations, offices, in my time here at BC, from the get-go, even from admissions. I know you can't see Stephen Koo and Paul Benito, but I was lucky enough to meet these two individuals at my AHANA weekend, and that was in person. And from the get-go, they were welcoming and warm to students like myself. And I think that has been the best part of my experience for me, just meeting those individuals, getting to talk to them, and having those relationships and building those mentorships as well. My least favorite aspect, I think, would probably similar to what Kaylee said. I know that being an AHANA student can be tough. Identifying as an AHANA student at a PWI can be tough in the classroom setting when you're the only one of the few students of colors in the classroom, or you're put in situations that you didn't think you would be in. But I think it's also a learning experience and a growing experience for all students, and something that I think has made me a better individual, because I've had to go through that. So I think all in all, my favorite part has been just the people, the clubs, and organizations that I've met here at BC.
And yeah, for me, I think, you know, Rob and Kaylee really hit it on the head with, I guess, like the least favorite part of being an AHANA student. It really is like, you know, I think Kaylee said it really nicely, like the change does seem really slow, but I do think that the students on campus and, you know, the faculty members have really just shown support and have really just sort of brought about a lot of like important discussions that needed to be like said and had. So I definitely think the, you know, room for having change and room for having these discussions is something that has really come out of that experience so far. But in terms of my favorite AHANA experience, I would say our ALC Showdown, which is, I know Rob touched on a little bit earlier, but it's an annual dance competition. I'm on a dance team as well, so it's really important for me. But, you know, it's just a dance competition we have every year. And all the teams gather together with like these full on like dance performances. They're usually sets. And what's really cool is that it's a competition. So obviously like, you know, the winning dance team gets to donate like all of the proceeds to like a charity of their choice. So that's also really cool. But for me, it was just so awesome getting to see, I guess, like the entire BC community come together. And I know this year is going to be virtual, but just getting to see other students support each other and really just come together just to enjoy some dance, some music and things like that is really exciting to see.
Yeah, I think for me, like everything Kaylee said is something I also agree with. And on top of that, I'm just always used to my mother's cooking back at home. Um, like nothing beats Haitian food for me. So like I don't know. I guess that's probably the least. But but then when all else fails, I got the BIC. They'll come in with some good jerk chicken, plantains, whatever. When I need it, like they're there. And I think my favorite experience as a part of the AHANA community would have to be the ASO fashion show my freshman year. It was huge, sold out. Everything looked amazing, so professional. And they also got Afrobeat to come and perform for everyone who was in attendance. And it was like a concert in a Rob Sham Theater. I've never seen anything quite like it. So I'm always excited for what all these culture clubs put on because I know they always go all out when they can.
Great. And I guess I'll take us home. I'd say it's to some extent my least favorite part of being a AHANA student at Boston College is it feels like it's at times non-AHANA students sort of their day ends when they leave the classroom. But for many of us AHANA students, I mean, we're here now. We have cultural involvements. We're involved in advocacy. We're involved in leadership opportunities. And like for a ton of us, the day doesn't really end when the classroom stops. It's like you go to a BSF meeting, you go be on a panel, which is great. We love doing it. It's what I'm passionate about. But sometimes it does get a little bit tiring. And then for my favorite part, I'd say it's without fail the sort of unofficial AHANA student section that forms at every single football game. I hope that you guys will get to experience it in the fall, but no matter what the event is, you'll always find a little group of AHANA students who will be cheering the loudest. Maybe get some step routines going in with Fist and SC standing in there. But it's really a great experience. So yeah, I guess to conclude, I once again would like to congratulate all of you for your acceptance into Boston College. It is truly an amazing feat. This event is actually part of Experience Boston College, the series, which is for all admitted students and will end on May 1st. Basically, you all sign up for tonight's webinar through the application status portal, and you can sign up for additional webinars or even Keith A. Francis AHANA weekend. Right now, whenever, tomorrow, Saturday, you can find all opportunities there. The next event for the Experience Boston College series will take place this Saturday, April 10th at 11 a.m. and it will be a session with the Career Center and pre-law advisors. And there also will be a session on financing your education at 4 p.m. on Saturday. So if you enjoyed tonight's session on the overall AHANA student experience and you want to get a little more of AHANA panelists, we will be back, or at least I will be back with a different set of amazing panelists on Thursday night, April 15th at the same time, 7 p.m. So you can register for that panel in the same way that you registered for tonight. So as you all sort of go about your night, I'm just going to share this. Here you can find all of our contact information. Feel free to shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to chat. And once again, congratulations on your acceptance to BC.